What is up, everybody? Mario here, Infighting Exchange. That's Infighting FX, live right now on YouTube, Twitch, IGX, and we are getting TikTok rolling right now. So if y'all could just give me a beat. Let me busy weekend, huh, everybody? A lot of shit to break down for sure. I did lives all weekend, so I am a little talked out of certain topics. That's not to say that you can't talk about anything tonight. Everything is on the table, whether it be Seth Rollins' fake injury. No. Is it fake? Or is it disgusting to call it fake? We're going to find out. Goldberg being a little bitch, like I told y'all he was. Goldberg is let's get into the DeLorean real quick. Okay, let's just pop that bitch into 2004 and just all right. He's gay. Now look, I'm not saying that as right now 2025, almost in my 30s, like that. I'm too old to be using that word like that. You know what I'm saying? That's weirdo stuff. But in a lot of ways it perfectly encapsulated things, right? Now, at the time, you don't realize that it's like offensive, right? Because it's like if something's whack and you call it Mario, and you're like, oh man, that thing is so Mario, and you're like, wait, he was, kissing another man. That doesn't. Why is that Mario? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like reversed and shit. But what I'm trying to say is that Goldberg encapsulates every aspect of what that word was supposed to mean. So here's a guy who was carried in the match, by the way. We're going to get to this later, but he has the nerve to come out today with Ariel Helwani, or was it yesterday? Whatever it was. I just saw the clip. And because everybody was mad that he took the chop the way he took the chop. You know what I mean? Like, because, like, dude, it was like typical Goldberg shit, right? And this is what Goldberg never understood about wrestling, is that it is a show. It's a show in its own way. Like the circus is a show, right? The guy with the whip and the fucking stool, right? Like, he doesn't really stand a chance against the lion. You realize that, right? It's all choreographed, right? Like, that. You understand that when the bullfighter's in the ring, like, yeah, that's super dangerous work, but you understand that the lenses of the bull's eyeballs reflect light in a certain way, that the red is disorienting and aggravating. So you're basically putting him in like a little fucking Mortal Kombat like disillusion, and yet he still has the ability to chase after you, right? Not saying it's not dangerous. It's just a little less dangerous. I'm not saying that makes it fake. Not saying it makes it staged. I'm just saying it is a show, right? Here's when fighting isn't a show. When you're like at the Walgreens trying to pick up, some cough medicine or maybe some feminine products for your lady, something that a lot of us guys, the situation we've all been in a time or two. And then like two random dudes are just fighting outside, like that right there. That's like, oh shit, that's something could happen, right? They could kill each other. They could bring out guns. I mean, there's so many different things that could happen. When you are fighting a lion in the circus, that risk is minimal. You understand? And Goldberg has never understood this about wrestling. He had the nerve to complain that Gunther's chops just didn't really hurt that much. And he was surprised. And that is why Goldberg decided to no-sell them the way he did. Now, keep in mind, it was part of his gimmick forever, right? He always no-sold shit. And this is the thing, right? And like, I'm gonna send Supermax and Matt the link, because I really like Supermax said some things this weekend. Very tame. I mean, we barely spoke. We barely texted back. But, his criticism of my criticism of Goldberg speaks to the issue here. And it's a bigger issue, right? in wrestling, I mean, you have guys like Goldberg, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. All of these guys, badass at some point in their career. I mean, absolutely badass on the screen, right? In pictures, posters, created into wrestling buddies. How on earth could you make cotton stuffed inside cotton sewn together as a pillow look badass? How do you do that? Well, you make it look like the Ultimate Warrior. You make it look like Hulk Hogan, juiced up Hulk Hogan. Yeah, we're not talking about no steroid scandal. No. Don't give me that skinny limp dick from WrestleMania 9. That's not Hulk Hogan. That guy was Terry Bolla, and he is a piece of shit too. But we'll get to him, or we won't get to him. But we're going to get to Goldberg. And the point is, Goldberg makes this comment like as if it's supposed to hurt. No, you bald-headed fucking weirdo. You're not supposed to kick them and feel it. Also, you're not supposed to kick them and end their fucking career. You were a travesty on the wrestling history, the wrestling lore. You did nothing ever good. You were a product of the time, and a product of master manipulating salesmen like Eric Bischoff, Vince McMahon. And these aren't, I'm not hating. I loved fucking, dude, when Ultimate Warrior would come out, I mean, I'm 3 years old on the verge of a fucking heart attack. 3 years old, and I'm like, dun. I mean, dude, my fucking grandma's in the kitchen like, mijo, shut the fuck. Like, seriously. You couldn't make menudo in the house without when the Ultimate Warrior was coming out. It looked like fucking Jurassic Park in that bitch, the water shaking and shit. Grandma's old ass house fucking vibrating on stilts and shit. I'm not going to pretend I wasn't into that shit. I was into it. Hell yeah, I was into it. I love me some what, bro. Stop, bro. Look. You think I'm tripping off of the Warrior, bro? You think I'm tripping off of the Warrior and that kind of gimmick? Man, chill, champ. Chill, champ. Nobody tripping off of the Warrior gimmick. Nobody's tripping off of the Goldberg gimmick. Except for one person. You know who that is? It's Goldberg. Goldberg actually believed he was a superhero. Goldberg actually believed all the bullshit. Like, I know that John Cena could be a jerk. I know that Bret Hart could be like a terrible parent. I'm not fans of theirs because I think that they both treat their wives terrifically, although Bret does look like he very much loves her. I don't, that's not my thing. I don't know them like that. I don't know the real John Cena, the real Bret Hart. I know the people that they play on TV, and I react to that, right? If I saw Bret Hart in real time, like bowling like shit, it would probably just ruin the nostalgia I have, right? So I don't want my heroes to like show the cracks in their realness, but Goldberg can't help it because he really believes he's a superhero. He really does. Like, he really thinks that his life was spent doing the better part of, like, I don't even know what, dude. This is a weird guy. I don't think anybody realizes how weird Goldberg is. He makes his name, his entire name, right? Because he really did suck as a football player at the highest level, right? Collegiately, high school, he has plenty of accolades, but he was never tailored. He was never made for the NFL. His body just wasn't going to ever hold on that long. And it's taxing. That's not me hating. And so, like, he gets swept up in this whole wrestling thing, makes his name, disappears, comes back, right? Why? Not because Goldberg deserved the paycheck, right? He never even fought Stone Cold. As far as I'm concerned, that's like Showtime hiring or giving Floyd Mayweather the contract, and he was never going to fight Pacquiao or Canelo. Like, why am I giving you this money? And it goes back to the Ultimate Warrior, because the Ultimate Warrior wanted that money. Do y'all remember that? And Vince wasn't going to give it to him until he did. And that same night, he told Ultimate Warrior to kick rocks. That's exactly what happened. And then Warrior got pissed, didn't come back till, what was it, 95, 96, right? Short little WrestleMania run. Fought Triple H, right? Terrible match. I remember it opened the show, and I was so excited at like 9 years old. It had been years, and in my mind, it's been forever since I've seen The Ultimate Warrior, right? And he comes out, and it's just this huge limp dick of fun, like terrible. Like, I'm like, wait, this is the guy? Is there? And I remember, like, this is, y'all have to remember, this is way before social media, right? This is even really before peak internet, right? Like, the only people that really understood the internet were far and few between, right? So we had to depend on all the other people that understood the internet. And in this era, there are literally people saying that wasn't the real Ultimate Warrior. That was a fake Ultimate Warrior. And the real Ultimate Warrior is going to sign with WCW. He sure enough did. And people believed it for years that it wasn't the real Ultimate Warrior. I did. I, as a kid, did it. I literally grew up thinking, oh, yeah, when he came back to WrestleMania, that was the fake Warrior. That wasn't a real Warrior. Because it was such a letdown, right? I'm older now. I understand things. And I never expected Goldberg to come out and put out a 5-star match. I never expected him to hold Gunther over his head for 5, 10, 15 seconds. Of course not. Here's the thing. I didn't even expect Goldberg to take such a huge, great bump that he did. He did. He took like a masterful bump when he tried to spear through Gunther and ended up through the guardrails. Now, I'll be honest, it would have had a lot more effect had WWE not done that spot to death over the last year and a half, right? Like, that would have been perfect for Goldberg right there. But they've used it on Strowman, Big Show, Mark Henry, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, somebody, one of the Bloodline guys did it this past week or last weekend or whenever Money in the Bank was, or not Money in the Bank, Saudi, right? King of the Ring, whatever the fuck it was called. I don't even know what it's called. But this guy Goldberg, man, just shit the bed. I'm sorry. Gunther carried him, right? Everything he did in that ring on Saturday worked to expose the business. And he doesn't come back on Monday or Tuesday and try to further cement his legacy by putting other people over. No, he complains about his bullshit speech getting cut from Peacock or NBC. My bad. Yeah, thank God it did. You had nothing interesting to say at all. I was curious whether he had lost in Atlanta before. So I'll say he said one thing that was kind of curious. But I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I'm done with this. I'm done with this. Okay. If you look at wrestling throughout its history, it has mirrored more oftentimes than not men that sold the Goldberg like story, right? This big dominating face is just gonna like run through people and it always just crashes out, right? Because it doesn't have real depth to it. And once you're not Superman, that's where it's interesting. But you can only tell that story once, right? You can't have Superman, and I haven't seen Superman, so this isn't a spoiler at all. Gonna go see it tomorrow or Thursday, still not sure. But haven't seen it, so this isn't a spoiler. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, if Superman 1 was about how the earth is learning how incredibly powerful he is and how he is the perfect man to possess like godlike abilities, then in the first movie, you find out towards the end, right? Towards the beginning of Act 3 that, oh my God, there's this thing called kryptonite that we've been hearing about throughout the movie. And now Superman has to face off with it. And you find out that the guy that can fly, that has unlimited strength, apparently, can go so fast around the earth that he can literally pull back time. That guy, he's a mark for minerals. Like, if you put the wrong mineral in his face, bro, he's going to spaz out, right? So we learned that in the first movie. Great movie. you have this godlike figure reduced to normacy. And what does he do when he is exposed to the elements of being a genuine man, limited in nature, mortal? That's interesting. That's great writing. Now, what if I told you they go ahead and do it for part 2 and part 3 and part 4 and the fucking DC big Avengers side, mashup that they're going to likely do for Justice League again some point? What if I told you that they did that for all those too? And it was the same story every time. Superman's a badass, and then, oh yeah, remember his you know, his boobs inflate when fucking minerals are in his drinking water or whatever kryptonite is. I guess, is it a mineral? I think it's a mineral, whatever. But like, that's not an interesting story to continue to tell. And that's what Goldberg is. That's what Hulk Hogan was. That's what the Ultimate Warrior was. The reason why, when you mention all three and only one of them truly has longevity in the sport, Hulk Hogan, it was because why? Because he was the ultimate face, and then he became the ultimate heel. He redefined himself. See, there's so many people today that don't understand this Drake Kendrick stuff, right? And not to go on a tangent, but people think that this is like, oh, good versus evil. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not at all. What it is that Drake cannot continue to be the 20-year-old fuckboy who cries about broken hearts. I mean, he can, but I don't care. Look, Jay-Z eventually stopped rapping about selling rock, right? Nas eventually got beyond the bridge, right? Eminem eventually let the demons of his mom go, right? All these incredible rappers that are very old now stood the test of time because they continue to redevelop themselves. The talent's always there, right? The skill set's always there, but the story you tell, that has to change. And guys like Goldberg never got that. Guys like Goldberg thought, hey, you want to print money? Send me out there to win, win, win. Send me out there to roll over on every single person that you have on this roster. Do that. And you're going to print money, bro. You're going to print real money. All right. The kind of money you don't even know what to dream of. But see, that's what I'm saying. Goldberg doesn't realize that shit gets boring. Kevin Nash said it best. My man Abe Gonzalez always reminds us the money is not in the belt. It is in the chase. And guys like Goldberg never got this. He never spent enough time trying to psychologically break down this sport that we all love in pro wrestling hard enough to get the psychology of it and what it means and what his role in there belongs. Him and Ultimate Warrior, I think, will forever be tied in very specific ways, right? Obviously, one didn't wear makeup, the other one didn't or did. One had a huge puffy 80s hair, the other one was bald. There's a lot, one of them was all color, right? And the other one just black trunks. That's it, right? There are vast differences, you'd assume, to the casual fan. You look at all those things that are very, what's the word? Not materialistic. When you get a surgery that isn't like fixing anything, it's cosmetic. It's a very cosmetic argument. It's a very cosmetic debate. But I'm going to show you that clip here right now. Or actually, let me show it to you in just a bit. Let me continue to send these links out. Let me make sure this is it. Yeah. All right. Okay, just a heads up. Yeah, first hour is going to be mostly wrestling, and then we're going to do boxing and MMA at the end for the last hour. Probably won't stay on longer than, oh shit, I forgot I was going to send a shoe shine. Yeah, so anyway, where was I here? Did I put in the title? I was gonna put it in the title. Oh, I did put in the title. What did I put? McGregor's a dick. Yeah, I did. It was just a joke, really. I wasn't even gonna talk about it, but I mean, here's the thing. I'll put the link out on YouTube. I'll put the link out on Twitch. All right. TikTok is probably not going to be able to join in that way. Whoever jumps on through TikTok will probably not come through on anything else, but everybody else will come through on TikTok, if that makes sense. But anyway, the point I'm making is that anybody could come through and talk about anything they want from this past weekend. Combat sports related. I don't care. Whatever you got. All-Star game is tonight. And the home run derby was amazing, except if your name is Jazz Chisholm. But I, for the life of me, can't imagine what anybody would want to talk about it. I mean, I'll mention it. I don't care. It's not like we're on fucking ESPN or something. Yeah, Conor McGregor's dick is floating around out there on pictures. So if you haven't seen it, be careful on your For You pages. Be careful with your timeline. Somebody said it was fake today. I don't know if that was fake. Like, here's the thing, right? The internet's so cooked, bro. This whole thing is so cooked. I mean, it's been cooked, but now with AI and everything else, like, dude, this is, who knows what's real. Here's what I know what's real, right? I know that Conor McGregor is kind of, if not for sure, a giant piece of shit, right? And there are a lot of factors. See, the problem is that the woke media that's on the right, right? Because that's a woke fucking media on that side, right? All them dudes, they get real triggered when you like prop up a woman, right? Like the Me Too movement, like a lot of dudes still aren't over that, right? Because they haven't had sex since it started, ain't gonna probably have sex after it either. So they get super fucking butthurt. And yeah, it's just one of those things where, oh shit. Hold up. Where the fuck are all my shit? Hmm. I don't know why it's not working, guys. I didn't I tried to put it on there. Oh, that's what it is. You know, it's weird because they were saying on Instagram the what is it, RTMP or whatever, it was messing up for people, but it was fine for me. And now I'm hearing that TikTok is having that problem. Or some people are saying they're having that problem, but most people are like, nah, it's fine for me, but I'm having that problem. So it's, I don't know, it's weird. I'll just go live on my phone then. It's not a big deal. I am going to throw the live out there on X if anybody wants to jump in. Boxing, MMA, wrestling, every single thing is on the menu for today. But yeah, let's get back to this Goldberg thing real quick. So we have some numbers. All right. Yo, so we got some numbers. We're going to look at them. So let's see. Okay, here we go. So first of all, here is the quotes that Goldberg is getting railroaded for. On the Ariel Helwani show, Goldberg confirmed that the plan for his match against Gunther in Atlanta had been in the works since late last year. However, he admitted he was not entirely pleased with the decision to have it on WWE Saturday Night Main Event on NBC, primarily due to the constraints on live television. Now, I want to make this very clear, right? There are many fingers to point the blame at what happened Saturday, right? And you don't even have to like make it a thing like, oh, what happened, right? What happened was a shitty card. Okay. What happened was a shitty main event. What happened was shitty timing, shitty promo, shitty feud, shitty program, shitty creative all around led to that shit show. But Goldberg has a lot of fair criticisms here. And one of them is this. First of all, yeah, why was it on Saturday Night Main Events? Can anybody answer me that? Goldberg is not part of this era of Saturday Night Main Events that a lot of fans, a lot of older fans remember fondly. A lot of historian fans and younger fans that, have gone back and done the research and watched old stuff and, really utilize the network back when they could. And now Peacock. They don't think Goldberg. Like, that's retarded or stupid. Sorry. I promised my wife I'd stop saying that. I went to high school in the 2000s. All right. You're never gonna get me fully. So you put yourself in a situation where you didn't capitalize off of any sort of nostalgia. Like, maybe you could have gotten a pop if it was like WCW, like what was it? Saturday night TV? I forgot what it was, but maybe that would have popped, right? WCW, what Goldberg had like 80% of his 170 plus, allegedly 170 plus record, right? He had all of that, and 80% of it was done on the Saturday night show for WCW, right? So like, maybe use that instead. Who knows? So I get him there. And then here's the other part, right? Where he admitted that this has been in the works for a year. Mind you, October was not a year ago, and October is when they launched this kind of thing. Now, if you'll remember back in 2024, summer of 2024, Goldberg had some very weird comments about Bret Hart and how he was like a hater of Bret and how he loved Bill Goldberg and he was a big fan. That got a huge pop online. A lot of people thought it was super clever, right? Because, in that storyline, anybody that says Goldberg is the guy who, was wronged and Bret, like, no, eat shit, right? Montreal Screwjob, we could still argue, right? You can make the argument that Vince was right because it was his company and it was his belt. And at the end of the day, Bret needed to do the job because that's what he was paid for. And then on the other side, you can argue that Bret had every right to be upset about Shawn and about all these different facets, right? I don't know what is right or wrong in that Montreal Screwjob, but I can tell you for a fact that anybody who sides with Goldberg in the situation where he ended Bret's career, you're a monster. You're maybe a psychopath. That might be too? Is that not too much? Maybe like a Jeffrey Dahmer-esque. I'm not saying you're full Dahmer. I'm just saying you have a lot of issues. Right? You might be a guy who's on the Russian side of the whole war. I don't know. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying it's a weird thing to be on Goldberg's side in that because he literally ended Bret's career and was terrible at wrestling and did not care because he thought his style was the way to go, was the way to print money. Not realizing that, there's a complete history on wrestling and how it's performed and booked and all that. But no, let's just give Goldberg the belt and let him do whatever the fuck he wants. No, it don't work anymore, bro. You got to try now. You got to actually tell stories. So if they had this for a year and all they could manage was Gunther's like little weird vibe check that he had, and then try to like siphon that into a full program. Come on, champs. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that because we all know what was going to happen. And what happened was a ratings dip. That's right. A ratings dip. Kind of a significant one. 31.31, 0.031. I don't know. 3-1 on the Nielsen bullshit, right? Last one, 5-4 in the 18 through 40 demographic. Now, I don't know that, you know, like, who's to say that this show would have popped like the shittiest rating of all time had it not been for Goldberg? I think that is a fair debate point to make if you're on that side of things. But I can tell you that it was just a waste. There was no reason for him to be on Saturday just because he's old. So like all old people are. So Triple H, can we have your last match on Saturday Night Main Events? Right? Because you know, you were a big part of that Saturday Night Main Event culture, right? Oh, you weren't? And nobody gives a shit? Yeah, I figure. So then why did you put Goldberg in that position? Here's the thing. Again, yes, Goldberg sucks. Yes, Goldberg was a big waste. Yes, Goldberg ruined the career of the greatest wrestler of all time in Bret the Hitman Hart. These are all true things. But he still deserves something. And he deserves something because we deserve something. He deserved to have a chance to go out there and tell an authentic story. Here's what they should have done, guys. Here's what they should have done. They should have brought Bret Hart back. They should have given him as much money as he wanted, millions, bought him a new 3 horses for the ranch. Who gives a shit? Brought him back and said, Bret, look, we want to do this thing, all right, with Gunther, you know, this whole thing with Goldberg. You don't have to fucking like him. Can you just shake his hand? You know, because we want to utilize blah, 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 and tell this story. Yo, that would have been dope. I get you can't use Hogan. I get that. And that's okay. I get you can't use Flair. That's okay too. Not sure if you can use Sting, but it's probably doubtful. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like Triple H just doesn't get it. And I thought if anybody was going to get it, it was going to be Triple H. He would understand that you can't just throw shit at the walls and expect everybody to like say you're a genius for it. Saturday Night Main Events was the worst show, I think, of the year. I think it was the worst show of the year. First of all, if Rollins' injury is authentic, which is a whole other aspect of this. God damn it. Okay. I got it. I see it now. Thank you for letting me know. Who is that? Chad in the chat. I think it was Chad. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I'm going to go live on TikTok right now though, for sure. I don't know how you did that. How did you send me a message from there onto Twitch like that? That's pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie. You're gonna have to hit me up and let me know how you did that, champ. Okay, so while I'm doing this, we'll continue to chop it up. The whole aspect of the weekend was terrible. And if you look at what happened with Seth Rollins, you might say it is the worst card of the year. Now, is his injury authentic? I covered this event, Goldberg, Saturday Night Main Events, for fightsatw.com, fightsaroundtheworld.com. You can go check that out on the website. True, I might have said that it's the worst show, so you might be wondering, well, why would we read your article of the worst show? But isn't that in and of itself a reason to read it? Right? Like, if you've never seen Cabin in the Woods, what was it called? Cabin Fever. If you've never seen the original Cabin Fever, then how do you know how to compare it to all the shittiest things that have ever been done? So anyway, the Saturday Night Main Events ended with the LA Knight stuff. I will say I do like where the Jacob Fatu shit is going with the big man, Hakalugi. That's not his name. I forget what they're calling him. Here's the thing. Michael Cole fucked his debut up so badly. And we talked about this a couple, back when it happened at the Saudi show, right? We talked about this, and I said, like, first of all, why do you have this guy debut outside of the ring? That's first of all. That's, like, stupid. Like, this is the way I drew it up, okay? Listen, this is the way I drew it up. Tell me what y'all think of this. Okay, so you have because wait, who was it? Tongaloa, right? Tongaloa came out also and came back. Okay, so like he comes out, right? He tries to stop Jacob, doesn't work, right? But as Jacob gets both Solo and whatever Tonga was there, he's got Solo and the Tongas right in front of him in the ring, right? So what you see is Jacob like this, right? Looking down on them. And you see Solo and whichever Tonga on their knees, but they're back of their head. And they're doing the old Ric Flair shit, right? They're like this. Okay? So then the image is this. Both of those guys are big guys, but Jacob's bigger. Look how much bigger. He's towering over them, right? He's like looking down on them. And then the big man jumps in the ring, right? Slides in the ring. You don't want him on the ropes. You don't want him getting in the ropes. Like, you don't need to do that. Slides in the ring. Why? Because when you have Jacob like this, standing tall over them like this, the image is that Jacob is the bigger man. He is more intimidating, right? Something more to be feared. So then when you see the guy slide in the ring and he gets up and he's not stopping, it's like, and now you have Jacob right here and big man's up here. Yo, that image is, that's it. That's fire right there. That's how you get it done. Listen to me. Sting, his character, the crow Sting, it didn't get over because it was like brilliantly written. It was simple. I mean, it was brilliant, the whole thing, but it wasn't brilliant like storytelling. It was just simple. But that's the best part of wrestling, is the simple stories are the ones that get over the most. They're the ones that tap through the screen, right? Bret Hart, Owen Hart. How important was that, right? Back then, like, it was a mid-card feud, but it felt like everything at the time. It really did. So you go back to Saturday Night Main Events and you look at what was accomplished. I don't think anything was accomplished because Jacob Fatu and Big Man were already, Jacob Fatu's already on that plight. My question is, if you're Roman Reigns, why is it so much more important to come back and help out in a situation with Jay and CM Punk but it's not important for you to come and like help the new guys from the fam. Like, yo, this ain't what we do. All I can say is it's probably because it's stupid. Like, they don't really have an idea of what they're doing, and they know they could use Roman in any way. So that brings me to, again, Saturday Night Main Events being the worst, because now you have a situation where people don't even know whether Seth is actually injured. First of all, the nature of the R-Truth saga has positioned us to be less trustworthy than ever before. I don't know if it's right or wrong to assume that a actual injury is not, right? It's all a work. But bro, people are big mad about it. A lot of writers, a lot of, Fightful, all these The Observer, like all these, heavy players in the game are like flabbergasted that anybody could even suggest that this is a fake injury. Have some respect for Seth Rollins. You mean the guy whose job it is to literally go out there and play a character and do things that are scripted? And so now it's fucking disrespectful to not know whether he's good at his job or not? I don't know. Look, I'm not saying that it's cool to be like, oh, look, John Cena clearly has a shattered nose. Oh, it must be fake blood. Well, that guy's just clearly stupid, right? But in this situation, it looked legit, right? And yet, there are those that are suggesting that he could have been injured prior to the match, and they wanted to give him some downtime before cashing in at SummerSlam. So what they do is they send him home, right? But then they actually have him do like a fake work injury. Here's the problem. The way that they sent him out there to do it, unless it's not an ankle injury or a leg injury, right? Like maybe it's a shoulder or a neck thing, right? Then maybe this is okay. But if you have any real legit injury, and that was the way that you decided to be written off TV by actually rolling your ankle on a backflip, champ. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if it's real. Damn, they played that one close to the vest, and they're kind of stupid because he really could. He could. How are you going to injure yourself on the fake injury, bro? That's Craig getting fired on his day off type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's weird to me to suggest that there's no reason to not like y'all are wrestling journalists, and I almost did the fingers there. I'm not going to do that. I knew what my job was the moment I took it. I knew what it was. It was to cover the show, right? The story. So I don't get into Corey Graves cheating or any of that other weirdo shit. I don't care about Charlotte Flair. Now, when it comes into the ring and we're starting to talk about it in the ring as promo, hell yeah, I care, bro. Fuck yeah, let's talk about it, bro. Trish and Flair, let's bring them in the ring. Let's have Miss TV and let's spill all the tea. Hey, bring out that the fake Mexican in the mask. Like, let's bring him out and let's pull it off and let's show it's Kaiser because we got some questions to answer. Were you in the DMs during Mania? I love it. I'll love that stuff, right? When it happens in the ring, it feels safe because we don't know the difference. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. The most compelling shit that I can remember as a child, pre-Bret Hart, was Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth because that shit felt real. And as a kid, I couldn't understand why they were allowing all this to happen. I mean, because I played baseball as a kid, right? I had a lot of family that played baseball. I've had family members that have played at the highest levels of sports. So I know that it's a business, and I've known since I was a really little kid. So when I look at that situation and I see it, I'm like, oh, you can't navigate it the way you would navigate anything else, because this is a world of fake's not the right word. Stop saying fake. That's bullshit. It's a word of deception. It's a world of deception. It's a world of what do magicians do where they're like, hey, look at this, oh, I'm fingering the sky, and then the whole time they're like doing the trick. misdirection, right? It's misdirection and it's deception, you know, and it's supposed to be. But when you lie about whether our truth was, and they never lied, that's also not true. They never confirmed Triple H's weird answer at the end of the PLE when our truth came back to the reporter that asked whether it was a work or a shoot. You know, he was kind of just like, oh, just enjoy the show. Like, God, it's so, and again, like, imagine Triple H, the guy that was pretending his penis was the end of the tank rifle. You remember that guy that tried to crash WCW without any warning and try to like totally hijack their show? Remember that guy? Like, go back and ask him his opinions of this stuff. It would be so crazy, I think. I think it would be so crazy. But Triple H isn't that guy anymore. He's not Trips anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not Trips anymore. He's not Triple H. He's nothing but Paul Levesque. He's not even Stephanie's husband anymore. He is Paul Levesque. And Paul Levesque has different parameters than Triple H did. Paul Levesque has a different goal than Triple H did. Paul Levesque works in a company currently, the WWE under TKO, that Trips wouldn't even recognize right now. If you could pull Triple H back from even the shitty version of DX, right? The bright, colorful, Shawn Michaels, Triple H only, you know, sometimes they brought Hornswoggle in to be like super perverted because, you know, perversion plays if it's like anyone but like white males doing it, right? Or they have to have like a deformity or they have to be handicapped. Like, dude, WWE was crazy writing back then. Like, if you think about it, yeah, crazy. But again, it was a different era and Trips had a different agenda. Triple H at the time was trying to get over, right? So he's going to do or say some of the most foulest things that have ever been done or said in WWE. But now he is the head of a promotion and business that is part of a much, much bigger sports entertainment conglomerate that is constantly absorbing brands, constantly absorbing content, and there is no room for failure at this high of a level. So when we see miscalculations by Trips, it's my fault. It's our fault because we have to remind ourselves that that's not Trips, dude. That's not the guy spitting water into the air. He may act like it. He may give us a little glance of that, but no, dude, this guy has an agenda and it is not the same as ours anymore. He has to appease sponsors. He has to appease arena owners. He has to appease ticket holders, interest holders. He has to think about the big picture, right? He has to be AEW's biggest adversary while simultaneously being one of the biggest marks to all the shit AEW does. And don't lie about that shit. Stop it. How many of the dudes in AEW that been in AEW has Trips put over long before WWE? He didn't see Penta wrestle one time and was like, bro, this is the fucking man, dog. This is one of the best luchadors. See about that way. No hands, all hands down. That's the man. Well, if that's your opinion on Penta, then it is of the likelihood that you've been watching AEW. No, I mean, yeah, he has work that was stellar and Lucha Underground and stuff like that, but let's be real. If you wanted to see how well Penta could perform at the highest level, then you were watching AEW in 2019, 2021, and 22. And I know Triple H was. But he can't be the guy that can just be like, you know what? Shout out to AEW, bro. All In was actually fire. Bro, Tony Storm, man, I swear to God, I wish we could get that one back. I fucked up on that one. I should have worked hard to keep that one. Monet, man, dude, that's the Monet I know. All the other performances and everything, and they were doing all the shit y'all were talking. I knew that person would show up. Mercedes. She would show up, and she did. But Trips can't say that, even though it's the truth. No, he can't say, bro, the Young Bucks and and Swerve and Osprey, best tag team match of the decade. Is it true or is it not? It's true enough to be in that fucking argument. It's true enough that none of y'all are going to click that link and tell me otherwise. Matt, Supermex. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, that tag team match was fire. And you want to talk about, oh, you didn't sell this. Oh, that was a super gig. Shut your fucking crying ass up. And that's the problem too. Everybody just like, everybody's glazing Evolution 2 right now. All right. And they're going to look, by the way, y'all know what they said about me in the TikTok? Oh, I forgot to go live on TikTok. Yo, you know what they called me on TikTok? They said he's just another toxic IWC male. Bro, that's why people hate so much. No, I'm not. I support anybody in America doing whatever they want. I got no problem with trans love, gay love, lesbian love, hetero love, self-love. I used to be really great at something. No, I'm playing. I don't care, bro. I don't care. I don't give a fuck what you call me. Call me a Democrat. Call me a lefty. Call me a softy. You're a bitch. You're a bitch. You never fought in no fucking YouTube bullshit boxing match like I have. You didn't fly halfway across the country to fight a man who was in the military, who was a Marine, who you'd never met before, and who said nothing on live except for how much he was going to hurt you. You ain't show up and fight that guy. I fucking did. So say whatever you want about any of this shit. Oh, he sounds soft, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a fuck, right? But then on the other side, when I do come out and say, yo, Evolution 2 is actually one of the best pay-per-views of the year from a card standpoint, top to bottom, then the IWC, look at this woke bitch. Look at this. Hey, why don't you go suck your wife's titty, you woman-loving feminist bitch? Like, that's what I was getting. That's what I'm getting. Because I liked Evolution 2, bro. You really hate women. That's crazy. But then on the other side, and it's like, yo, Evolution 2, best pay-per-view ever. Best pay-per-view. Oh, bro, it's the best pay-per. What was the bad match? What was the bad match? I don't know, man. Trish Stratus and Tiffany was, I don't know, it was kind of whack. It was a little overdone. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tiffany was great. The finish was awesome. She looked amazing as always, but we know that. She could have looked great against fucking Asuka or Kairi Sane or fucking anybody. She could have looked great against Liv in a fucking boot. Or wait, what did she hurt? Whatever she hurt. That's not it, right? The match itself, like no stakes, meant nothing, right? Trish Stratus, by the way, she deserves a final run like that, like a Cena run. But when you go back to it, bro, when you go back to all the shit that was talked, all the shit that was said, it was all revolving around this. And so when I say, oh, Evolution 2 was good, it was great from the in-ring, but everything outside the girl's control was mid or worse. Yo, he's just an IWC, a woman hater. Oh, look at him. He's a Trump supporting MAGA bit. Bro, that's how they were coming at me. Because I said that the creative was mid at best. Because I wasn't just totally sucking off the card and being a WWE mark. But that's not who I am. I'm not built like that. Check my channel. I don't get the subs. You know why? Because I don't suck Dom's dick off like everybody else. Because I'm not on here glazing Shakur. Because I'm not on here glazing Derek Lewis. I'm a fan of everybody I just met. But that shit doesn't define my reality and my attitude. Yo, Shoeshine coming on. We're going to switch to boxing when he does. But that's kind of what I'm saying. Look at what happened this weekend, bro. Shakur won, right? Shakur won. And you go and you look online, right? Yo, I'm not gonna disrespect my boy like this. Let me see. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna disrespect my boy like this. Look, this is what happened this weekend. And y'all are going to think it's funny too, or not funny, but I mean, I guess if you understand boxing or you follow boxing, you're going to think it's funny. Yo, what the fuck? Damn. I was trying to show y'all oh fuck. I was trying to show y'all a tweet. I had a bunch of them ready to go, but I don't know. I guess it wasn't on X. It must have been on IG that I had them. Okay, but the point I was trying to make, now that it's all fucked up, like you go and look, bro, the people that were like tank hardcore D riders, bro. Now it's all about Shakur. Yo, there are literally people out there getting roasted because they're switching up, right? They're switching up. I am never ever gonna switch my opinions just to like coddle people's ideas of what's real and what's not. All right. Evolution 2 was great from an in-ring standpoint. It was absolutely a travesty and creative blunder. Let me tell y'all what happened at Evolution 2. Okay. At Evolution 2, what we saw was creative Triple H, both GMs, Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, all the suits, all the TKO board people, everybody say to the women's roster in WWE, go out there and make this work. No, you don't get any help. No, there is no lifeline here. No, we're not going to give you better creative or more time on TV or a more comprehensible fucking plan or idea. No, we're not going to do that. You go out there and you make magic. Did you hear what Pierce said last night? Go out and make magic. Make it your fucking self, you bald bitch, David Blaine. Why don't you go make magic? Posting your old WCW contract when you got fired, talking about bet on yourself. Why don't you bet that your bald ass needs some more glasses? Trying to put that type of shit on the girls, bro. Listen to me. The women's roster went out there and did one of the best jobs I've ever seen at salvaging the shittiest card and PLE ever trying to be produced by the WWE. Fuck them for that, bro. Yo, Shoeshine coming on. I'm just gonna say this. Look, and we'll leave it at here. We're gonna switch to boxing, but listen, I'm just gonna leave it here. By the way, Shoeshine, if you want to tap in, you can. I just wouldn't use my title. I don't have a problem at all with the Evolution 2 card. I don't think having an all-female card is progress, though. I don't. Okay, and it's not right. Nobody ever says, "Hey, we're gonna have an all-men's card." It's not progress to disrupt equality. And equality comes when someone earns it. Could I envision a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania one day having more women's matches and segments on the card than men? Absolutely fucking right I could. When you got people outside of the company like Monet, when you got people outside of the company like Tony Storm, right? When you got people outside of the company like Thunder Rosa, who touched down to a whole community of Latin fans from lucha communities that the WWE never catered to and never gave a fuck about unless it was about selling Rey Mysterio's mask. And that's fucking straight up real. And they still don't give a shit about AAA. Again, what I'm saying is that those girls were forced to go out there on Sunday and make magic. They were never given the tools to do anything. And then for Adam Pearce to come out last night on Monday Night Raw and announce the triple threat for SummerSlam and then say, make it magical. Let's up the stakes. Shut your bitch ass up, you bald ass hating bitch. Damn, that shit pissed me off for real. My bad. I'm sorry. That's the wrestling for the day, guys. I'm big mad about it still. We're still going to get to AEW All In Texas a little bit later. Still want to break down a lot of what happened at Evolution. We didn't even get to any of the card. I don't need to talk about Saturday Night events ever again. And then we'll get to Derek Lewis later and him wanting to literally fight his wife, but that means something different. Yo, what's going on? Shoot Time Boxing in the building, champ.
What's good, Mario? Hey, real quick, are we on your Infighting FX or Infighting Hub?
Infighting FX. I deleted Hub. It should be gone by tomorrow.
You're kidding. All right. Well, let me.
Yeah, I got shadow banned on there. I can't go live anymore.
You're crazy. All right. Well, let's make sure whoever tunes in
subscribe to the new champ. One. You're the champ, big dog. Yeah, bro. 20 subscribers. Hey, but I feel pretty good though, because here's the thing. If you go through the metrics, right? Infighting, my original channel, I had 772, I think it was, somewhere around there. And then my next channel, Infighting, or just Infight, it got 200 before that got dusted. And then this last one got 180 before it got dusted. So all in all, I mean, that's 1,000 subs. I'm not going to lie. It's, you know, it's a moral victory, Shoeshine. It's a moral
Absolutely.
Victory.
Well, I want to make sure.
I can't go live now until I get 50 fucking subs, dude. It sucks.
Well, we're live now, right?
Well, we're live from my streaming platform, but I can't go live on YouTube because, like, I'm gonna give you some game in case you, and you probably know this already, but I found out if you go live from TikTok, from IG, from Twitter, from Twitch, from YouTube, the algorithm pushes your shit way, 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 way more. So I've been trying to pick a day or like a morning or afternoon to just go live on one of those platforms and not the other. You know, so but I appreciate you helping out. I appreciate you asking. I appreciate you tapping in and, you know, being a good friend and actually asking about it. Because a lot of people didn't give a shit. They were like, oh, you got a new channel? Cool. Like, that was it. Like, yo, no story. You're not wondering why I was going live every day and then got shut down? All right, whatever.
You got shut down. That's what I'm curious about. What was that about?
My ex gone. My Twitch gone. So what happened was I had already gotten warned a bunch about subject matter and convos. I was using my boxing one to do other stuff, like political stuff, like abortion, like stuff like that, right? Consent, that one, dude, every time I did a show and consent and the word consent was used, they just flagged it. It was crazy. But what ended up killing me was the weekend of Cinco de Mayo, that Friday, the big card in New York that sucked. We were watching it at my boy Rob's house, right? Me and him played baseball since Pony League, you know, went to high school together, played baseball, and we're there. The fam's there, everybody's there. It's a big crowded thing. He just brings out the fajitas, so of course I'm quick to run to get a taco, right? And of course you need avocado, and you need the Spanish rice and the pinto beans. So by the time I got done serving myself and then eating, perhaps like 45 minutes to an hour had passed. Now I'm mic'd up with my lapel, so it doesn't matter if I'm in front of the camera or not. One of the little kids ended up turning my camera and positioning it out of the way because it was kind of in the way. And when they did it, they turned the camera around and it was literally facing the TV the whole time. By the time I noticed, I turned it around. I go to my iPad because I'm live on my iPad. Like, I'm producing on my iPad, but I'm live on my phone. They had already toasted me. And on top of that, X was like, nope, this was egregious. You did this on purpose. I was like, oh my God, y'all watched my fucking stream. Like, that was the thing that got to me more. Like, any pointers? Did Elon have anything to say about it? No. But I was just like, damn, that sucks, bro. Like,
man,
I was doing like 150 on X, 200. That was my bulk audience
It's been
right
so
there.
long. You know what? A lot of people don't know, even in my own community, that I started with Drew on using the Periscope app, like
Oh,
in
I remember that.
2017.
Yeah, the Periscope app was tough,
2017.
bro.
So Drew and I thought we were like real shot callers on Periscope. We had like over 3,000 subs, and that's where we started the Shoe Shine podcast, was on Periscope. One day, I don't know what got into me, but it was the Andy Ruiz fight against Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia, right? And I decided, I'm like, Drew, we need to get the numbers up. Everybody shows the fight. Everybody shows the fight. He's like, you sure, Dave? You sure, Dave? I'm like, what's the worst that could happen, right? I'm going to show the fight. I'm going to talk about it. We're going to get huge numbers and even more subscribers. And sure enough, I didn't get halfway through that fight before I got a notification, and my channel was gone. They said, you can download some of your stuff, but that's it. You're no longer, like 3,000 subscribers gone in a heart. Like,
yeah, bro. That, oh man.
So
and it's crazy because it's like, man, we can't have a talk about this. Can we just like have dialogue? Could we just have an open discussion? See, that's why honestly I like YouTube a little better today, because at least they'll be like, look, these are the channels you need to reach out to get on the grace list, right? If you want to be posting this kind of content, you got to get on their list at some point, or they're going to keep flagging your shit. So at least they gave me a window to try to make things right? Like X and IG and all them other they're like, nah, bro, you're good. You're done. Right. And you know why I think it is because a lot of those other platforms are associated with like weirdo shit. You know what I mean? When I say weirdo shit, because I don't want to say nothing weird or nothing that messes up our stream. But a lot of those people use that stuff for that weirdo shit. So don't play around on that. They're like, nah, we don't want to accidentally let somebody else on. Right. It's not bad. I mean, it is bad, but it's not bad to them to catch somebody in the act doing something, right? It is bad to them to catch somebody doing something, hurt a child, and then find out that you had already banned them twice before, right? Because that was like that story that happened, I think in like 2018 or 19 or whatever. But yeah, we're good though. We're good. Listen, I want to know what's up with you, bro. Did you get to catch all the fights this weekend?
Did.
That was a tough one, right?
I saw them all, and even better is this weekend coming up, right? I'm not gonna rag on the Amanda Serrano card. We talked about it last night with Drew, and the third one didn't pan out to be as exciting as the first two, but
I still thought it was a good fight, though. I think a lot more people were way too hard on it.
I guess I was too hard on it. I mean, there was some good action on that card overall. And overall for the sport of boxing, the numbers that Netflix is claiming are phenomenal. 6 million plus global.
6 million plus, dude. Crazy.
Remarkable numbers. What Jake Paul is doing for women's boxing is unheard of. Top Rank as always, and even Golden Boy, they've kind of dabbled with a few female stars, trying to make female stars. But what he's got a whole...
You're absolutely
not
right.
Harem. He doesn't have a harem. Excuse me. I'm not going to say that.
I want to ask you this though, Shoe Shine. I have to ask you your opinion, because what you just said is important. See, when I was going on D Show or the Round Table or whatever, over the last 4 years, right? I would mention the Pauls, and I would mention them in good grace, and I would always get flack. Even D Style would be like suspect of me, like, you thinking the Pauls right now? Like, what you doing? But here's why: because I saw what the influence and the eyes they were bringing to the sport. I'm not thanking them for fighting MMA people or KSI, not at all. I am thanking them for at least bringing the spotlight with them to boxing, right? So then when we started seeing what Jake was doing with women's boxing, I said, here it is. Here is somebody who gets it. And this is noble work, because this isn't a thing that's guaranteed to work, right? This isn't a situation where you're buying into the WNBA after Caitlin Clark has already gotten there, after Angela Reese has already gotten there. No, Jake Paul is making a concerted effort to upgrade, to level up women's boxing, right? In a way that the UFC was able to do with Ronda Rousey. And even in that situation, Dana White didn't believe in women's MMA. No, quite the opposite. He said women's MMA would never have a place in the UFC home, and that nobody wants to watch women fighting. But then a man named Scott Coker, who ran, I think he was the CEO of Strikeforce for Showtime, started putting women in higher positions on the card, because when you're not the UFC or the WWE or Top Rank, you have to use what you can, right? You don't have the stars, so they started utilizing women. And Ronda Rousey was born a star right then and there. And Dana took that star and he definitely helped raise it, but he didn't believe, right? So I look at Jake and I say, man, that's really cool, dude. You believed in this product that you didn't know would work, that you just said, hey, I want to make this better. But, and this is the question, I'm sorry, that was all rant before I even asked you a question. This is a question I have for you. Now I'm sitting here and I'm like, it's not that Jake is not vital and hasn't done great things for the sport of boxing, specifically that of women's, right? And by the way, women's boxing helps men's boxing, right? When there are more options for us to cover fights, for fans to go to fights, for promoters and fighters and undercards and all that stuff, it helps. Okay. The UFC was not the major product it was to, or it is today until what? Ronda Rousey. Even the NBA has failed to keep up sometimes with the MLB and the NFL and their ability to globalize. Why? Because they had a piss poor relationship with the women's, and now they've siphoned them in, and it's a bigger product together. Women's boxing will help the sport all together just by providing economics, okay? Economic stability. That is what helps a sport grow. So when I look at the situation and we see where we're at now, right? I look and I say, well, Amanda's a star, or she was a star.
Mm-hmm.
Katie's a star. Alicia was a star. All these people are stars. And he definitely cashed in on one of the biggest boxing events of all time, specifically for women. But is there a program he's developing for women? Is there a youth has he taken a look into the amateurs and those issues? Does he know what's going on currently with the boxing and USA boxing and their place in the LA Olympics? How far is he willing to go? Because women's boxing won't be saved by creating a once in a lifetime Ronda Rousey star. Not at all. If you look at the women's division, it has never really captured that marquee fandom after Amanda Nunes. And why? Why, Shoeshine? Because that was a situation where you could pass the rub off. Do you understand? There was a Ronda Rousey who was then beaten by a Holly Holmes, who was then beaten by Amanda Nunes. And all that rub took them out into the stratosphere to help lift up the sport. But there are jiu-jitsu classes, karate classes, Muay Thai classes, Taekwondo classes, wrestling classes, Samba classes everywhere in North America. To be into women's MMA and help it grow, you don't need to help women's MMA. You need to help MMA. In boxing, it is different. You cannot solely help men's boxing and expect it to flourish the rest of the program. Not at all. If that were the case, then Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, all these major names, Floyd Mayweather, they would have helped brought up the flyweight divisions, the bantamweight divisions. But no, the little guys have always been overlooked, just like the women. So now we have today, right? We saw HBO try to take advantage with the Chocolatito. They weren't in the flyweight business. They were in the Chocolatito business. So then I ask you, Shoeshine, your thoughts, now that I've presented it in this way, is Jake Paul in the business of helping women's boxing grow to a point that others can get in and it's so financially viable, or is he only into women's boxing as much as it'll help him? And I'm not criticizing. There's no judgment here. I'm just asking the question as I present it to you.
Wow, that's a tricky question.
It is very, right? I don't know where to go with it.
I think he saw the void and he saw the opportunity, and he had this relationship with Amanda developing. He saw how successful he could be with her, and he just created a blueprint for all these other fighters he's just recently signed. I don't know how involved he is with the amateur boxing, but I'll say that it's great that he had Christine Lopez, who is part of Team USA Boxing. Yeah. They're a fighter of her own and representing that. So maybe he will be more involved with boxing, period, amateur boxing going forward, being that, boy, it was up to...
Does he deserve credit if he doesn't make a concerted effort to go beyond just the stars of the sport? Or do you think it's enough for him to attempt to globalize the sport of women's boxing in just the way he's doing it, trying to raise the level at the highest?
The latter.
Okay. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? This is America. Capitalism is a thing. Now, I do think that Jake Paul and Logan Paul's views on economics and politics are, either completely fake or just, points that they've heard. I don't think they know anything actually, right? And that's not a judgment either. I don't think most people do. So I don't fault them for their political opinions or anything like that. Their job is to push the button, and they're manipulators in the sense of salesmen. So they see which buttons can we push, right? It's like, who's the guy on X? He's a forklift driver, and he's always been like a huge team fan.
Ray? Boxing.
Yeah, Ray. Look at Ray. Okay. Now, I don't ever fault Ray. He is not a journalist. He's not a commentator. He's not even a boxing content creator. He is a Tank fan account, a Tank Stan account. That's what he is. And that's okay. It's no joke. I'm not making fun of him. The Cowboys have Stan accounts. The Lakers have Stan accounts. Why can't boxers have Stan accounts? Why not? Now, I'm not saying it makes you the most manly guy on Twitter, but at the end of the day, it is your thing. Okay. I have my thing.
Didn't he parlay that to a potential fight with Sean Porter?
And not only that, he went out this weekend after Shakur won and said that Shakur beats Tank. And then he's been showing a bunch of people in his DMs wishing him dead. You see, I don't believe for a moment Ray has abandoned his Tank fandom, but he knows which buttons to push. He knows what is going to get him engagement. Okay. The engagement farming that guys like Paul's do that get him a bad rap, I know it's bullshit. But I also know that at the end of the day, for you to have put so much into women's boxing, you cannot no longer say that women's boxing hasn't done something for you too, because it's brought you to the big boy table. You know, the one that Jay-Z was trying to get into for a decade and a half. You remember that one that they wouldn't let him in because it was super fucking racist bullshit in the NFL? That table in boxing can be manipulated into, and him and his partner are experts at that. Again, no judgment. I'm just saying, what are we really saying when we're saying that he's elevating this sport? He's elevating at the highest level for the people that are making him money, but to be considered a Gandhi or a Mother Teresa or somebody in that kind of realm, you have to do the things that go beyond your wallet, right? And again, not a judgment. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying that after this weekend, I saw, hey, there is money in women's boxing. This is no longer a charity case for those Jake Pauls and the rest of the world to say, oh, look at these girls. You know what bothered me so much last week, Shoeshine? And man, I swear to God, I wish you were live over there, dude. I would have watched listen to me. This is not glazing at all. I am telling you the honest truth. I would have watched your stream coverage 99% of the time over the zones. The 1% would have been the moment I heard what I heard over and over, and that is, and she is the best, regardless of sex and weight. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. You don't have to say that every time. We get it. I don't know. It just bothered me. But anybody on the card that stuck out to you? Anybody on the card that you want to give like an extra little like shine to that did their thing?
Shadisa Green, right? Beating Savannah Marshall, that's kind of remarkable. And now it makes an argument, should Clarissa Shields come down and face her? Also, I'm ready to see Alicia Baumgartner get an opportunity to fight one of the top two, which is either going to be Serrano coming down and getting a shot for, she is the champion at 126, we were saying, but she can move down to 130 and campaign there and see if she can get a crack at undisputed at 130, or Alicia Baumgartner can move up and fight Katie Taylor. So, I thought it was overall was a pretty good card. I have to say, regarding Jake Paul, I was impressed by his presence in the ring. There's other promoters that love to ham it up in between fights and before the fights. I have to say, he was kind of chill. He was kind of just back there, right? The guy funding it all, putting it all together, and he could have been more obnoxious. There's a lot of other promoters that love to be obnoxious in the ring, and I think he was kind of tamed. So that was kind of impressive, you know.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Hold on, I'm just retweeting the thing and reposting the Twitch.
And thank you to everybody, my mods in here. I appreciate SB, Tony, everybody up.
Hell
in
yeah!
here.
Shout out
Just
to
kind of an
Tony
impromptu Tuesday.
Boswell. Shout out to SB. Who's else was in here? Bruce Gash. Shout out to Bruce Gash, champ. I love me some Bruce Gash.
And don't forget, guys, to
the
subscribe
prophet
to
in the building. Carlos,
Yeah.
what's going on, champ? AC Walker.
We got a new channel, Infighting FX, guys. Make sure you subscribe to that one.
Appreciate it. Please go and support. But listen, I want to ask you now. Let's move on. Okay. First things first, I want to ask you about the Imam and Morrell fight. Oh my God, I watched that twice already. In fact, I kind of watched it 3 times. The first time I watched it, I wasn't paying attention a whole lot, right? So I had to go back, watch it the second time, fully all through. Then to believe my eyes and what I was going to say on X the next day and TikTok, the videos I was going to post, I said, no, I can't make statements like this unless I am sure. So I rewatched it again. And sure enough, I am of the opinion that Imam is one of the toughest, days at work for every single person in the top 10.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. What did you think? And who did you pick? Or who did you think won?
Well, I actually got a chance to watch some of his tape beforehand, and I understood he was this heavy sparring partner for Beterbiev, and Beterbiev raved. Like, you've seen Beterbiev's workout routines regarding his hands and all the things that really matter that make Russian fighters great, like these incredible routines of building up hand, forearm strength, and whatnot. I know that Kataev was busted. He was caught on a performing enhancing drug, which I believe was enclomiphene. But the suspension wasn't, I guess it wasn't active. So they just went ahead with this fight. But you could see, man, he's a specimen. He's extremely strong, his shoulders, his neck. He's a heavy, heavy puncher. And he was able to do something nobody else has done, which is for the first time knock down David Morrell. I cannot see David Morrell winning that fight. I've only watched it one time. I'm sure if I watch it a second time closely, I still won't score it a draw. And then you had that knockdown, which David Morrell was backing up, and he wasn't backing up the right way. He got caught with that right hand, or was it a right hand? It was a heavy shot. Right, I don't see it, guys. I don't see how David Morrell won that fight, but that's the way the business of boxing goes. Sometimes you get a gimme, and that's going to propel David Morrell's career, because I don't think, man, David Morrell losing 2 in a row, especially after the performance he had against Benavidez, where he kind of took a beating, in my opinion. That would have been a major, major setback. 2 losses at light heavyweight.
Absolutely.
I like David. I like David Morrell. I honest to God thought that he was that dark horse in the 168-pound division that everybody was avoiding. The kind of guy like Christian and Billy, like people are avoiding Christian and Billy right now. I thought David Morrell was that guy. I thought he was going to give hell to Canelo at 168 if he got an opportunity, but he didn't. Just like Benavidez didn't get an opportunity. So up he goes to 175. I'm going to have to say, like, David Morrell's probably at the bottom of the top 10 for me right now, with these performances at light heavyweight. I don't know what he needs to do. Man. He was explosive. He was a heavy puncher. His movement is fantastic at 168, but it doesn't seem
absolutely right.
It doesn't seem that the power is as effective at 175. He hasn't hurt anybody.
I agree with you. Look, here's what bothered me though, right? And maybe you'll agree with this or maybe you won't, but it bothered me how much shit people were talking about Morrell, right? The Benavidez broke him narrative. It really bothered me. And most of the time those narratives don't bother me because they're, casual narratives. Most people that have those types of opinions, the ducking, like once you've, paid attention in the sport long enough, that there is a difference between ducking and ducking. You know what I mean? And one of those happens very, very rarely. And the other one is basically how the sport works. So when you look at all that and you start to say, oh, Morrell's washed, or, oh, he got hit way too much, blah, blah, blah. Shout out JC in the chat. You're the champ, bro. I don't know that Morrell looked bad. I don't know that Morrell, like, that was a reflection of how easy Morrell is to hit or how hittable he is. I can say that styles make fights. And I think that Morrell felt the power early and thought, hey, yes, this is, this guy can pop, but I'm not going anywhere as long as I stay within a certain range, which he worked on a lot. He did that a lot throughout the fight. He knew where Imam's range was, and he was not going to get caught. And so, or not going to get caught with anything that could end the fight. He wanted to, I think, show that he could be successful in a firefight. He could be as entertaining as he could be dominating. The problem was that wasn't the case. Now, whether he underestimated Imam or not, I'm not going to speculate into that. All I know is that was a tough fighter in front of him, and styles make fights. And I cannot wait for, how do you say it? Is it Beterbiev or not Beterbiev?
Beterbiev?
Yeah, Beterbiev. That's how you say it, right? I heard you say it the other day. I know I'm not
going to. For the longest, I said Beterbiev, but the people have corrected me and said it was Beterbiev. But
I always said Beterbiev. And so at the end of the day, is this a fight that we have to see a rematch for? Because
I did feel that. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I did feel immediately that I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch. It was very close. Aside from that knockdown, David Morrell did have spurts where he looked great. And it's one of those fights where I feel like now that he knows what the guy Kataev is about, that he could come out on the winning side in a rematch, right? He can make those adjustments. He's sharp enough. He's got the ring IQ, the Cuban School of Boxing, that he could potentially make those adjustments and walk away unscathed, not taking the big shot, and maybe pull off a 6-4 victory in a rematch. So I'm all aboard. I'm all about it. Hey, run that one back. It was very close. Most people feel he didn't deserve the win, so run it back. But listen, even Terrence Bud Crawford against Madrimov, Eastern European, Russian fighter or whatnot, he also had a hard day at the office in his debut at 154, right? These guys are awkward. Like you said, styles make fights. Terrence, a very gifted technical boxer. Then you get into a fight with an Eastern European fighter who's doing his own thing, who's unorthodox, whose movements are herky-jerky, and they can hit with a lot of pop. And you got to make some adjustments. And some are better. Some make those adjustments much faster than others. So I don't mind seeing a rematch for sure on that one.
Now, if we were okay, so let me ask you this: where would you rank both of these fighters now in the top 10? Now, I'm not asking you to rank them amongst the other fighters, but do you consider them similar in ranked position now, like similar level fighters, or do you think one of them showed that their levels above and the second fight could be different?
No, I don't think that one is significantly levels above. Obviously, I think Kataev punching power that resoundly that it's much greater than David Morrell's. But then David Morrell can do a lot of things. He might be able to pull. They're both in the top 10, but then again, there's so many light heavyweights that are coming from the UK that I would put above them. You've got the top two. You got Bivol, Beterbiev, David Benavidez. We thought David Morrell was a top 5, but now I think they're both on the fringes in the top 10.
I think, and that's the thing too. And see, I'm so glad you said that. Real quick, I'm just gonna cut that part just so I want to say this. I want to make sure people understand this, right? What you're saying is very important because people think, oh, there's 10 spots in a division's top 10, right? And if you're if you're the number one, well, then you're the number one. But if you are one of two that could be number one, right? Manny Pacquiao, Mayweather type shit, then that's a different situation. Top 3. To say somebody is top 3 and top 5, people consider it very different. Then to say top 10, it's even bigger. But the truth is, when you are a guy outside of the top 5, but still in the top 10, meaning that you might not be a B+ or an A-, like the guys in the 1 through 3, right? But if you're in that top 10, more times than not, you have at least the skill set that when you come out on fight night, and remember, styles always make fights. If the guy isn't at 100% and you are, if you had a better camp, if his girl cheated on him, if his baby's in the NICU, all those different things can even the playing field. So a top 10 guy is always dangerous to a degree, right? Now, comparatively and reflectively upon 1 through 3 would say like, oh, well, like give me somebody in the top 10, like somebody very low in the top 10.
Light heavyweight.
Yeah, light heavyweight. How about Anthony Yarde? Okay, so to say, oh, Anthony Yarde is one thing, right? But Bivol's another. That's not wrong. That's right. There are levels to this thing. But to suggest that those levels within the top 10 are so different that Beterbiev could be fighting at 50% his ability, while while Anthony Yarde came in with the greatest camp of his life, performing at 100% his ability. No, I'm taking Anthony Yarde because it's not just about what levels these guys show. Yes, levels separate them, but the performances are how they do it. And that isn't necessarily reflective on skill set, right? I'm a very, very good typer. Okay. I used to be able to type over 100 words a minute. Today,
Damn.
yeah, today with practice, I could probably get to like 85, maybe 90. If I did it right now in front of everybody, I'd probably be anywhere between like 70 or between like probably like 68 and 75. No warm up.
Do they even teach typing at school anymore?
I don't think they do, and that's what I'm saying.
I'm
Bro,
old enough. I'm old enough that they actually sat me down. I was like, they're like, you have to learn how to type.
Oh, what was the class called? Fuck, it was called something.
Mine was all wrapped up into computer science, guys, but like we're talking pre-Windows 95.
Hell yeah. And that's what I'm saying though. Like, but I have that skill set, right? Now I could give you, okay, right now, if we did it, I could do 60 words per minute easily, right? But now let's say somebody broke in my door, right? And they got a gun to my head. And they said, bro, I got yours and Shoe Shine's family, the people y'all love the most, in a room right now. And if you can't type 60 words per minute like you said you could, everybody's gone. I'm not sure I could do it, right? It's the pressure. That's that pressure right there. Can you perform at the highest level? Yo, I'll show you some clips of me boxing right now. Right now, Shoe Shine. I promise you'll be like, hey, bro, you're not bad. That's pretty good. Hey, I'll show you a picture. I'll show you some videos of me sparring, and you'll be like, bro, you should probably not do this anymore. Like, this one ain't for you, champ. Maybe take up paintballing. You ever done paintballing? That's fun. And that's just real talk. You know what I'm saying? So, like, to suggest that Morrell maybe number 10, maybe a top 10 as opposed to a top 5 is a fair point. But that, again, isn't enough to say that he is not a viable opponent for basically anybody in the top 10. I wouldn't call him I wouldn't call him a cherry if he fought, like, if Bivol wanted to fight him or Beterbiev or anything like
sanctioning,
that.
Most of the sanctioning bodies allow you to pick. If you're allowed the what is it, the voluntary defense, they most of them just say straight up top 15. It's got to be somebody ranked in the top 15, which is what we saw this week play out in the cruiserweight division, where Jake Paul was awarded a WBA top 15 ranking, which allowed Roberto Zurdo Ramirez to fight him, right? And so I suppose I read that Jake Paul went to Don King, whose fighter is in line to fight for that the WBC title. What's his name? The guy who always gets the big cuts. WBC cruiserweight champion.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Badu Jack.
Badu Jack, thank you.
They offered Badu Jack or his opponent step aside money, but Don King's like, fuck no, I'm getting paid. So the top 15, anybody in the top 15 is a credible, worthy, voluntary defense. But once you crack that top 5, perfect example, I would say Floyd Schofield has cracked the top 5 in the lightweight division. Floyd Schofield just had a phenomenal KO of Tevin Farmer, something William Zepeda couldn't do in over 24 rounds, right? Floyd Schofield has now cracked the top 5. He is somebody that could, on any given day, potentially beat one of the 4 champions in the lightweight division. Morrell, top 10. Do I see him beating Beterbiev or Dmitry Bivol this year? No. Do I see him having a hell of a fight against somebody like Ben Whittaker, the UK's? Yeah, that's stylistically, I'd like to see that fight. Is Ben Whittaker top 10 now? I want to see that. Let me see him against a tougher opponent, so either in the UK or somebody like David Morrell. That would be a interesting fight for me in the light heavyweight division.
Nah, very. Okay, so listen, I want to while we're on the light heavyweight division, I want to switch over real quick to Shiraz. Okay, Hamza Shiraz came out star-making performance as far as I'm concerned. I posted, I did a small live, short live, at the very end of Saturday night, and I did a few posts on the fight. Mostly trolling, right? Because Berlanga talks so much shit, so like I overhype, you know what I mean, the significance of it and everything. The amount of people that are mad at me now because I'm overhyping Shiraz or he's food for Canelo or Bivol or Beterbiev or whoever is crazy. It is crazy how many people's feelings are hurt and how many people have just completely like they're having such a hard time coping. I mean, this is the coped fight of the century for real, bro. Because for all the people that didn't believe in Berlanga is fine, right? But there was a contingency of people that didn't believe in Shiraz, and those people don't. It's like politics, right? Like I think there's a lot of people that could look at the big beautiful bill and say, "Oh, this is fucked up. This ain't what we wanted," right? But their egos or their pride are too much to say, "I voted for the wrong person," right? Same with me. I could say the same thing, right? So those kinds of egos are really hard to break. Like everybody's is, mine too, everybody's, right? So when you're in a position where you're like, man, that dude Shiraz sucks, bro. Yo, he's so bad, he's gonna lose to Berlanga, and Berlanga sucks, bro.
Well,
But then you're
I
wrong.
didn't
It's
think
like,
I wasn't that far, man. I didn't go that far. I did think it could potentially have been a difficult night for both fighters, and you know the
so
old
did
adage,
I. I thought the same thing.
you're only as good as your last fight. And Shiraz, for a moment, looked like he was going to be the guy to clean out the 160-pound division. If you ask me, would he beat um, the Ukraine, the top ranked fighter? What's his name? God, I'm so bad with names nowadays. I thought Carlos Adames, he'd get past him. Nope, didn't get past any of the champions at 160. He did get past Alma Williams. Then he fights Carlos Adames, and he didn't look good at all. Where was the guy that we were so accustomed to? So that being said, I didn't know how he was going to debut against Edgar Berlanga, who had just fought Canelo Alvarez. And I thought both of these guys carry a lot of power. But if you ask me about skill set and boxing IQ, any day, I will pick Shiraz now any day. And he looks like a guy who could potentially, if Canelo wasn't there, or even if he gets a shot at Canelo with the right seasoning, could take over that division. It could someday maybe even be a light heavyweight champion. He's got the build for it. Zurdo Ramirez made the jump successfully with that same height and reach, 168, made a pit stop at light heavyweight. Now it's the cruiserweight champion. Shiraz has a huge ceiling. He really does.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. And here's the other thing. I want to make sure that this is clear. I'm not playing Monday morning quarterback. I am not suggesting that it was foolish to have considered this 50-50, nor do I think it would have been foolish for you to have picked Berlanga, right? And not you. I mean, I'm just saying, like, in general. The problem for me isn't being wrong. The problem is admitting you're wrong, right? And for those that underestimated Shiraz, and again, I don't put you in that list. There are people that think this guy is a dog shit outside of the top 15 type of fighter. Okay. And that's not who this kid is at all. Okay. Maybe if you had questions about his ability or inability to move up and successfully maintain some of the skills and attributes that he displayed at 160, fair criticism. I can see that. But suggest that somehow, this kid is just, he's not on the level of Bivol, so that makes him garbage. That is the shit that gets me. It's that type shit, bro. Because that's the casual bullshit right there. Like, you don't know how good Bivol is. And I mean that. We don't really know. It takes decades after a fighter's retired to fully access and unbiasedly critique what they have done. The time is not yet to have an authentic argument about whether Floyd is the greatest of all time. Hit me back in 10 years, then we'll talk about it. Maybe 20, right? But there will be a time where we talk about this and ask, where does it fit in the big picture? But because you don't know how good Bivol is, you just assume, oh, he's so fucking good, right? Because they're so fucking good, clearly. Then, of course, Shiraz isn't in that level of competition. Why? because you assume it, because you assumed it before, and you don't have any value over Berlanga, so you still don't think he's any good. But let me tell you this, Shine, something you taught me. You can look at Crawford's resume, point at it, and look at all the holes. And I think you said this like a couple of weeks ago. But is how he got those jobs done. How many people are knocking out level opponents that Crawford was? Sure, C- level, a couple of B- levels, a lot of C and C+ fighters in that resume. But every single week, fighters at the top of the division take those guys UD12, UD10, UD8. Crawford was doing the assignment and getting A's. He wasn't just passing to play sports for UIL. I just can't imagine how many people watched that fight and didn't see something really special. I'm not saying he beats Bivol. I'm not saying he beats Canelo. I'm saying he belongs in the ring with them. He does. And he will make interesting fights. He may never, win a card or gain a split decision against them. But I'm also not saying that isn't the case either, or potential. You know what I'm saying? Does he deserve to be in the ring with Bivol or Beterbiev? Is he that good in your mind yet? Or is Berlanga not the name to test yourself?
No.
That?
No. He's got to prove himself at 168. I mean, there's a few guys at 168. I'd like to see him. I can't just award him. I know Turkey Ali Sheik paid Canelo Alvarez. I'm wearing his hat. Shout out to my boy Fonzie who picked us up in San Diego. I don't think he won the Canelo sweepstake off that performance. You've got to show me at least one or two more impressive wins, and beating somebody like Christian Mbili or Diego Pacheco that's fighting this Saturday.
Ooh, that would be a good one, Diego.
Who also has those same attributes. Tall, lanky, has been in the, shares same camp with David Benavidez. Wins over those type of guys in 168 pounds would absolutely put him as a top contender for me to get an opportunity to fight Canelo sometime in 2026. Speaking of tall and lanky guys, I got to ask you, because I'm thinking about Sebastian Fundora, Tim Tszyu this Saturday as potentially being the fight of the weekend. That's maybe Usyk Dubois will be that fight, but I have a hunch that this fight, like the first one, will end up being the most dramatic fight of the weekend. But Sebastian Fundora, to me, strikes me as a guy who's been in in his current division so long that he's actually hindering his progress as growing as a fighter. I think this has to be his last fight. This has to be his last fight.
Why, Shoeshine? Why? Why is that the case?
Because look how much better Shiraz looked by just going up 8 pounds, just going up one weight class. The power carried. He's explosive. And I think that Fundora should already have moved to 160. He's got that. He's got all the gifts ready. He could be the guy to, clean out 160 potentially.
I totally understand. And I don't think that's an unreasonable assumption or rationale. Not at all. And I don't want to put you in this box, right? Because you didn't say any of the things that I'm gonna but I will say this. Listen, I'm gonna just tell you, my time on TBV, I'm still very triggered from it. All right. Giving people the access to call in and dictating how much time they're on based on how much money they're willing to give means that you're going to hear a lot of dumb shit, a lot. And so the idea that because people would get so mad. Why hasn't Golovkin moved up? He needs to move up already. He hasn't moved up. Andre Ward won the super middleweight tournament. What's there left to do? Move up to heavyweight. It bothered me so much. And you're not saying that at all. I'm not accusing you of saying that at all. But the argument would almost always come with the precipice. That's why they're better. That's why this guy is good. Manny Pacquiao is good because he flew through the 40s. No, I don't know. Maybe. But could we say this? Crawford stayed around where he was, right? But he sparred bigger dudes, never sparred smaller dudes, always sparred bigger dudes. He trained in wrestling. He had a nutritionist that was much more concerned about his raw power than any other nutritionist I've ever seen in combat sports, specifically boxing. And in all of that, something I learned, and I don't know if it's true, but something I think I might have learned, you can train to be the bigger fighter in the ring. It doesn't make you the bigger fighter in the ring, but you can train that way, right? Actually taking those fights and step up isn't about training. It's about getting the fight. So yes, you have to train 6, 8, 10 weeks or whatever before a fight, but being in a position where you're just moving up and down, it's not any better because you're taking harder shots. You're taking bigger shots outside of your natural weight class. Somebody said this, it's not about how much bigger Canelo is than Crawford, right? It's about the time Canelo has spent at 160 and above, absorbing shots, taking shots, giving shots. His knuckles have the what's it called when you like get like your hands get calluses and stuff? Like, yes, thank you. They are calcified, right? Because of the heaviest dudes he's fought, because of the fighting above, right? Crawford doesn't have that experience, right? If you think about it like a glove, like a baseball glove. If you've ever played baseball or softball and you buy a glove, it's very stiff and you have to oil it, you have to wrap it with a rubber band, you have to use it over and over and over. When it comes to competing at middleweight and above, no matter how much experience Crawford has fighting bigger guys, Crawford is basically a new glove, fresh out of Dick's or Academy. And Crawford and Canelo is a well-used, well-fitted, well-experienced mitt at the major league level. And that's just the truth. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's going to play out in the fight that way.
Well, speaking,
but it is the truth.
If you guys are interested in the chat, guys, I know it's probably the most expensive fight anyone could attend, but tickets go on sale for that Friday for the September 13th card in Las Vegas at the Allegiant Stadium.
Pre-sale. You had the ring yet?
Friday.
Friday, damn.
Yeah, it's awfully soon, but you know, obviously it's a massive stadium. There's going to be a lot of seats for sale, but
for sure.
To get a good seat. Oh, I don't even want to know. I guess I'll find out on Friday what it costs to go to the thing.
Did you apply yet?
No, it's not entirely too late, right? But it's a massive card and it's brought to you by so I know that the PBC people where you apply for credentials, it's not, I can't imagine it's the same thing. This is being brought to you by what, the new promotional outfit, right? Dana White's promotional outfit.
Got you. Okay.
Well, let me know in DM me, send me a text. Let me know. Let me know. But again, I have so many friends that want to go that this may not be the
bro.
credential.
I would go. Listen,
can you imagine, man? I finally get credentialed to something. I'm like, what's up, guys? What's up?
Bro, you deserve it, bro. You deserve it.
They're all sitting back there. They're all sitting back there.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I'll never forget getting credentialed to Trout and Canelo. And for those that have listened to that have been a listener of mine since CBV days, you may remember there was an episode where I did a freestyle, and then the next day, Ness bitched me out on air in front of everybody because it pissed off the Mayweather team. And they pulled our credential. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Somebody told me it was Ellerby himself that heard it, but I was thinking
the freestyle. I gotta see that.
I know I made a mustache line about Ellerby. There was some other stuff. It wasn't even bad. Oh, you know what it was? I poked fun at Fight Height. That's what it was. I remember now. Anyway, they got our thing revoked, right? And it was like this thing where it's like, oh man, you're like on their shit list now. And so I remember seeing them there, right? And my credential was in the back right of everybody, but I was ringside, right? Canelo Trout. And guys like us, we show up like super early, right? So we could get video and all that stuff, right? So I'm walking around the whole time. I'm not sitting down. I went to the school of Nestor Gibbs in terms of videography. We don't watch fights from our seat. We watch fights from wherever we're at in the arena because we're looking for trainers, managers, publicists, anybody, undercard fighters, people that Top Rank or Golden Boy or whoever brought in, right? So I go back to my chair when the main card's about to start, and it was a sticker, and I see it was ripped off, but I could still see the M and the A and the very top of the T where it's supposed to be for the boxing boys. So I'm like, I wonder what happened. I sit down. Mind you, nobody's come to take the credential, but all of a sudden I get a tap on my shoulder, and I'm not going to say her name, but it's a girl who used to do some of the publicist work at, this was in San Antonio. I can say that because I already said it was Canelo Trout. And so she says, Mr. Munguia, I'm so sorry. We had to move you. And I'm like, oh, did y'all end up giving out too many credentials? And she goes, yeah, like that. And I'm like, that don't sound like you're being honest, but all right. So I'm like, I'm not tripping. Where are they going to move me? Right. Maybe I'll get closer. They fucking sent me up to the top, bro. Like right in front of the boxes top. I was no longer sitting in the red or green. Was it green, right? Who has all the access? Green credentials, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I had I had a green. They take it off of me and hand me a red one. Now listen to me, Shoeshine. My name on the green one, it said the boxing voice, Mari Munguia. On the red one, it was black. It didn't have a name. So that wasn't my credential. And they were never supposed to move me because of an accident or anything. They kicked me out of press row, like the big press row, and sent me up to where they're like, hey, all the rest of y'all fucking internet losers go up there. Now, this is obviously like 2014, right? So we didn't get as much respect as we do today. You know, now showbiz is like, you know what I mean? Like the fucking everybody look at him as like the glory road and shit. But back then it wasn't. We didn't get our respect like that. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, it matters. It matters pissing them dudes off or not. But you're a guy, and I said all that to say this, right? I know I'm a great writer. I know my writing's as good as anybody in the game. Now, I don't have the connections or the journalistic credibility, nor do I have the experience. So obviously I'm not as good. But beyond that, I have a reputation now in the sport. And there are a lot of people that don't like me for one reason or another. Your story is very different. You've been covering in Vegas and supporting all levels forever. If there is a person to give a credential to, it is you, 100%. Person that doesn't do biased work, person that doesn't have a narrative, person that doesn't have an angle, and yet you go out there and you do it in a way that you cover for us, the fans, right? You're not afraid to get in the mix. You're not afraid to go out there. But there's a lot of journalists out there that, you know, they're worried. Oh, what's Dan going to think of me? Oh, is Steve going to think I'm a like little bitch, or, you know what I mean? Like, and I used to do that. That's how I know that people think that way. Cause that's how I used to think, right? Like I'm sitting here like, oh shit, is Bart going to say something to me? Like, hey, you're doing this wrong or whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, bro, I hope you're there, dog. If you're there, we're pushing that shit to the moon, bro.
Well, you could, hey, if you can come to Vegas, this is the one, right?
I was thinking about it too, man. I don't know. I'm gonna try to see if I could finesse a ticket out of fucking Ness or something. I'll go do stand up. I'll write like a boxing 15-minute something or whatever. Shit. Maybe if he'll have like I'll even fight. Honestly, if he'll have a Border Wars, I just want to be in Vegas, bro. Like I didn't get to go to Mayweather Pacquiao. I didn't even get to go to Golovkin and Canelo. I feel at times like left out of the live crowd, even though I have so many friends, so many connects in boxing. You know, every show I've ever been to, I get a Mario, hey, oh, boxing boy, boy, you know what I mean? Even though I haven't been on the show in like years, but it's nice. It's a community that makes you feel welcomed when they fuck with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. Oh, 100%. And I don't think we're going to see a fight week energy in Vegas. Like
the same, right? Hell no.
Yeah. Right. Because this is a stadium fight. Like I was here for Mayweather Canelo, and I can remember, Doc, there wasn't Uber in those days for that. Uber didn't exist for Canelo versus Mayweather. I can remember the line to leave the MGM was like a 1 hour taxi line, you know, and just everybody in that line, it was a fucking party in the valet, you know, it was like a whole hour worth of people.
Dude, that gives me almost so bad.
You know what I mean? Like, But like I said, there wasn't Uber back then. It was just like, it just felt like a party, arriving, leaving the whole weekend. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. So I want to get into it now. Oh, first of all, real quick, Berlanga, is he cooked? He done?
Nah, and I don't want people to think that that I'm ragging on him too hard, because at the end of the day, he's a fighter and he's a showman. And what do we expect from fighters? To just be quiet and like leading up to a massive fight for personalities to be turned off? At the end of the day, Berlanga is a personality. Do you want him to go on stage during press week and be like, oh, I'm gonna do my best, but I don't know if I'm gonna win. He's good, I'm good. No, you expect fighters to, out of everyone in their camp, you expect the fighter to believe in themselves the most. How they articulate it can be off-putting at times. Berlanga's like, oh, he's way too confident. Well, what do you want the guy to be, muted? I mean, it's not him. It's not who he is. I personally love how Shiraz carries himself on and off outside of the ring. I like the way he moves. Berlanga, he is being true to himself. If he didn't believe in himself, then who is going to believe in himself? Now he has a lot to look back on and learn from this fight, because he's not the guy who he thought he was. And hopefully that he's going to learn. He's going to take something from this experience and actually become a better fighter, and see the holes in his game.
You're a good man.
He can't go toe to toe with everybody and think you're going to knock everybody out.
And that's the problem too, right? Is that was never the game plan. That was never what should have been happening in this fight. And I feel like he might have talked himself into a style or an approach to the fight that wasn't, his most successful. Yo, shout out to Nerd real quick. I just want to be clear. Thank you for this comment, because you said we do know how good Bivol is. He beat Canelo, Zurdo, and Beterbiev. What else do we need? And yes, 100%. Thank you for clarifying. In terms of the division and where we're at, Bivol's an elite, one of the greats, right? But what I was saying is, in terms of like comparison in a broader sense, like how good is Bivol or Beterbiev or Canelo or Crawford or any of the, even Mayweather, when compared to the all-time greats list that we have, right? Some people say Floyd's number 1 of all time. Some people say Floyd's number 2. Some people say Floyd's 10. Some people say Floyd's not even the top 50. I saw somebody put that the other day, a writer that y'all all know and love. And so that's kind of what I'm saying. More than that,
Is Dimitri Bivol as good as Andre Ward was when Andre Ward was the shit?
Thank you. Exactly. Perfect metaphor to explain that. Thank you so much. Okay. So, real quick, I am going to say this. I appreciate everything you just said about Berlanga. I think it's very important that we don't write guys off. One thing that Floyd did that had a negative impact in the sport, I feel, and I don't blame him for this or anything. It's just the way his career panned out. One negative thing that happened was so many people put so much stock into the undefeated record. When you look at how MMA works, or even pro wrestling, kickboxing, that new karate thing where they fight in a fucking weird pit, bare knuckle, none of them matter when it comes to losses. Yeah, wins matter, but losses really don't. Losses in a row matter and could get you, fired or whatever. But you're always 1 or 2 wins away in MMA from being, set up for a number 1 contender match, eliminator, championship, whatever. Boxing has overly characterized the undefeated record into a way that has, in some instances, overshadowed championship belts themselves. You can look at the tail end of Floyd's career. The WBC just handed him the belt most of the time because he was the best. We knew that. He was the guy to beat. But at the end of the day, he didn't need the belt. And none of those fans, casual fans back then, they could tell you. If you said, okay, tell me what belt he had against Canelo, WBC, WBO, IB, you know what I mean? They wouldn't be able to tell you. Nobody even gives a shit. So I appreciate that, right?
Yeah.
I will say one last thing. What I don't appreciate is myself. I really felt like I enjoyed too much of Berlanga's loss, and not like because he got hurt, not at all. I'd never celebrate anybody getting hurt like that, not at all. But the fact that Fat Joe walked him out and gave him a fucking terror squad chain along, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, damn, I'm glad I have it in front of Fat Joe. I hope he takes that chain back. No, I'm playing. But yeah, I don't wish bad at all for Berlanga. I just never thought he was of the caliber to be deserving certain shots that he was getting. I never thought he really proved anything to anybody. I think that when you look at Berlanga as a whole, the totality of his career. It was propped up by a very suspicious knockout record and knockout streak that ESPN kind of forced Top Rank to start promoting as a narrative. And if you'll remember, they started showing graphics in his fight during the bubble, showing how close is he getting to Mike Tyson's all-time knockout record. How close is he getting to Lennox Lewis or whoever else it was, right? It was like a list of 5 people. And every time he fought, they would put him over the next person. It reminded me a lot of the home run chase between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. And so much of that time was awesome. Why? Because every day we were getting a scoreboard and it didn't matter. They didn't have to play each other. They were still facing off. That's why it was great. If you watched the home run derby last night, I like the structure, but it sucked on TV because there was no home run number to aspire to, right? They had them all at the bottom, like ranked 1 through 4.
No, I didn't catch it. Second. Oh,
yeah.
It's not as good as it used to be, huh?
I'm used to when they had, okay, this player needs to get to 15. This is his 12th home run. He's got 20 seconds left. 13th home run. 14th. Oh, he didn't get it, but he's got the time bonus. Okay, now he needs, 2 home runs in 30 seconds to win, or we're going to go to a hit off. The visuals are important for casual fans, right? Guys like us, we understand that if a fight is stopped by an accidental headbutt before the 4th round, we're fucked. Damn, it's a waste of a fight. Casual fans don't know that. They're asking, so what do we do? Do we go to the scorecards? What's going to happen? We know after the 4th, oh, we're good. We're going to see where it goes. But they don't know that, right? And so it's the things that cannot be interpreted on screen that disconnect the casual fan from the sport. And boxing's so terrible at this, not because in and of itself it's terrible and the people make it awful, but it's structured in a way that cannot be fan friendly. You can't show the scores on TV. You can't show every judge's score after every round. That's why they have a specific commentator whose only job is to sit there and score. He has a mic in his face and he only uses it in round 3, 6, 9, and 12, including the first and final round. And all of that shit is designed to help the casual fan and us watching, but none of it is visually appealing to them. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's different about it to me. But I definitely think Berlanga still has a chance to bounce back to some degree, right? I don't think he'll be a
some
top
good
5
fights
guy
out
ever.
there for him. He's talking
for sure.
Caleb Plant. They've got bad blood, genuine bad blood, both coming off big losses. Jaime Munguia coming off a suspension. We'll see how long that suspension is. So that's another very good fight. And we'll see how he keeps himself busy, rebuilds himself. Fat Joe just reminded me that I have a Fat Joe story.
Terror Squad.
Yeah, 1999. I'm coming out of a club when I was very young. Shoe Shine Boxing's coming out of a South Beach nightclub at 5 a.m.
Oh shit!
5 a.m. We're twisted, man. We're effed up. And we're going to the place where they say they got the best Cubanito sandwiches, the best Cuban sandwiches that you can get at 5 a.m. in South Beach. And in comes Fat Joe with his entourage and sits down.
No shit.
And he's like, oh, I was with people who used to work at a radio. Shout out to people, KML Radio. I was with some people that worked at KML Radio in the Bay Area. And he knew them. So he ate Cuban sandwiches right in front of us, man.
Yo, that's sick, bro.
But I heard he's a sicko now. I've heard about all his lawsuits. So
wow,
but
yeah.
1999, I had heard nothing. In fact, I think Big Pun had just passed away too. As a matter of fact.
Yo, I don't want this to sound disrespectful, but I always felt like Fat Joe's commercial appeal benefited from. I'm not saying he didn't want his friend to die, obviously, right? But it always felt like Big Pun's death elevated Fat Joe's career. And if Big Pun had hung around or lived long enough, I don't know how popular Fat Joe would be, honestly.
I agree. And like I said, it was just right after that, in fact. But true story. Broke bread and ate Cuban sandwiches with Fat
that's
Joe.
sick, bro. That's so sick. Yo, you have a crazy life.
No, it was crazy. It's very tame. It's very tame now, but yeah, moving along. Listen, talk about the main event.
I want to talk about Shakur. I want to ask you your thoughts on it real quick. Yes, real quick. Listen, I don't want to say anything yet. I want to know what you thought. There is a mixed narrative online There are those that suggest that he still ran way too much, that it wasn't that exciting of a fight. There are others that feel like he fought the perfect fight and showed that not only can he be exciting, but he can be as elusive and as high level, even against aggressive fighters. What did you take and what do you make of not just the fight, but the post reactions from the boxing world, the boxing community?
All right, let me try to sum that up. First off, 2 fights that I saw Shakur in were absolutely the most boring performances I've seen. One where he beat who we're going to see on the card this Saturday at featherweight in Reno. In Reno, about 5 years back, I saw him win the featherweight title. Absolute bore fest. I saw him fight Oscar Valdez. Absolute bore fest. And I think you guys can all remember the times that he was on primetime on ESPN and he failed to perform in some of the most miserable championship performances. This to me, and I disagree with Drew, I think he said his performance against a Japanese fighter was the best one. I think this was his best performance to date, hands down. And I always thought for the longest time, the only type of fighter that could break him was going to be modeled after the Mexican type pressure fighter like Castillo, when Castillo fought Floyd Mayweather the very first time. I thought, okay, if I get the Castillo, if I get a performance out of El Camarón Zepeda, like Castillo, when they first fought, Castillo versus Mayweather, we could see El Camarón come away victorious. If you get the performance that Floyd did in this rematch, I think that's exactly what we saw this past Saturday. We saw Shakur put on the performance Floyd did in the rematch. I got the number. There's nothing you can do. You're not going to touch me. I'm going to make it a little bit more exciting than my usual fights. Hand speed, you got to give it to Shakur. Pop, power, you got to give it to Shakur. That Mexican pressure fighter isn't going to be the type of fighter to beat Shakur Stevenson. It's going to take somebody who is equally or more explosive and going to outpower him and have enough ring IQ to be able to get over his defense. That puts very few people in a position to beat him. Could Tank knock out Shakur? I think he could definitely hurt Shakur. Could Shakur pull off a perfect defensive performance and beat Tank? Yes. Yes. Actually, I'm thinking somebody like Floyd Schofield right now has got a great chance with his momentum.
Oh, they're going to get mad at you for saying that. But I agree. I agree, but they're going to get mad.
He knocked out Kevin Farmer.
No, but they don't want to hear that, though, champ. They don't want to hear that. I don't know why, but they are so upset at the thought of either Kid Austin or Shakur being the, ipso facto king of the divisions.
It's not going to be the pressure fighter. It's not going to be the Mexican fighter like William Camarón Zepeda to upset. It's just not going to be him. I did see a great interview with Ariel Helwani where Conor Benn is interested in fighting him.
I saw that. Very interesting.
Very explosive. When you saw Conor Benn at his best at 147, he was explosive and he had damaging power. So that's the type of guy that's going to be able to beat him. He's going to have to hurt Shakur Stevenson. We saw a tiny glimpse that maybe you could touch him and you could hurt him, and that could be a game changer going forward. David Morrell he tasted the power of Katayev early on, and it changed the game plan, right? You start to doubt yourself. Somebody's going to have to hurt Shakur and instill some doubt in the early rounds or midway through the fight, and then capitalize on that. It has to be an explosive, heavy-handed puncher. Shout out to that dude Ray for saying, does he really think Shakur beats?
Bro, I'm telling you, it has been hilarious. Let me just pull up a few. It's been hilarious. And he's been showing the screenshots of Tank fans that have just been fucking hammering. Let me see. Where did he put one? He had one tweet where he had Shakur over basically everyone and then left Tank off of the thing. And so where did he put it? No comment, Roach by stoppage. That's what he put on July 14th when retweeting a pound for pound post that said breaking. The reasoning behind the altercation between Gervonta and his baby mother was insecurities about the sexuality of their third son. Now, obviously, that's a joke, right? And it's fucked up, but whatever. But then Ray put no comment, Roach by stoppage, bro. So this whole narrative, right, where there was this fighter in Tank who's the perfect fighter and just, you know, runs through everybody, has now found its first authentic chinks in the armor. Because before, when we'd have this debate, it was mostly speculation. I could tell you, yeah, Tank has looked the goods. Just like Crawford, he's passed the test with flying colors. Even when they were only B-level or C-level opponents, he still did what he was supposed to do. But then now you start to look at the narrative of, well, you know, he's lost a lot more rounds in his career than Floyd ever did, specifically as the competition's gotten better. He's never fought anyone that would fall into the category of like a Teofimo or like a Devin Haney, somebody in their prime that we know is considerably good. Ryan Garcia could be arguably his best win, and we just saw what Rolly did to him. So all I'm saying is that Tank's, everybody's talking shit about Canelo's resume and how it's aging like spoiled milk. Tank's resume has been the one that has for a long time been suspect. But now, today, we have a different narrative. And that narrative is Lamont Roach should have won. Tank took a knee and was given A-side treatment for it. And on top of all of that, he's now been arrested again for domestic abuse or domestic violence. Thank you. You know, when I was a kid in the 90s and 2000s, right, I was a Cowboy fan, an Astro fan, right, Lakers. I've seen players and sports athletes, stars for years get in trouble, but it's never affected them really. Then when Ray Rice and all that, now it's started to become a real thing, like really scrutinized. So now in this era where it's like, oh, you're a big giant piece of shit if that's the thing you're getting in trouble for, right? Like DUI is also starting to be like a thing like that. Like, damn, you put people in, you know what I mean? Or not paying your child support. Like there's just these things that society automatically says you're a piece of shit. And Tank's always been able to avoid that with his core audience, right? But it's starting to creep up now. And the performance of Shakur has given people a counter side. So anybody who is looking for a way off of the Tank bandwagon, basically it's been like Rush Hour 2 and both bandwagons are driving side by side and every fucking body in the Tank's just jumping off to catch on to the other one and shit. And it's interesting. It's very interesting. My question is Shakur, but do you pick Shakur right now over all of them? Obviously that's a loaded question, but everybody always has a favorite of who they think would be, you know, win in a tournament with all those guys, right? Oh, Tio wins. He beats them all. Shakur beats them all.
Well,
Devin,
Shakur, I'm actually, you mean at 135, right?
I mean, in a collective sense. No, because it's important that we really, truly, fundamentally look at this thing, Shushan, because
I think Shakur, you're talking about Shakur.
Tank is floating around.
Clean out
Yes,
the
but at
division.
135.
I think he can.
Agree.
I don't think.
Does that include Tank?
Yes, it does. I do think that. I do not think that Shakur, with his hands, is going to carry all the way up to welterweight and have the same success. I just don't. There's just too many talent levels once you keep going up that talent scale at 140 and welterweight. But at 135, with his frame, his hand speed, his defense, I think the time is now for him to clean out. I think he can become potentially undisputed if the politics allow him to. Nerd, I wanted to address that. You made a great point. I was at that Floyd Schofield fight where he fought Giron. Giron is from Guanajuato. That's the state my mother is from. Giron, he walked into, I believe, a counter hook, and he tasted the canvas. That night, his promoter came into the ring. Oscar came into the ring. Wasn't very too happy, and I believe he said, I give that performance a C. Now, in his most recent fight against a much better opponent, I give him an A+. Does that mean he's ready after fighting just one round? Wasn't that Tevin Farmer a one-round performance? Does that mean he's ready for Shakur? No, it doesn't. He wasn't ready when he accepted that fight in Saudi Arabia, and he's not ready today. But, you know, the business is, do you jump at an opportunity like that if the price is right? I think he still needs more seasoning to beat the likes of Shakur Stevenson.
Well said. And last point I want to make real quick on this. I will say this. I would say, like, right now, I would rather be Schofield than Shakur. I agree with everything you said. Shakur is he's got the abilities. He's showing that I think he should be considered the favorite in most of those matches. And again, that's not to say he wins. It's about styles. You got to see the weigh-in. What was their camp like? All that shit factors in. However, when you look at these two guys, you look at their place in the sport. Okay. Kid Austin's already been accused of one of the worst things you can be accused of, and it's what Nerd accused him of, basically faking his death to avoid Shakur, right? So that's it.
It's a pretty
That
dramatic
narrative's
video.
out there. Exactly. And so it doesn't really matter what anybody says anymore, because that narrative, silly enough, whether it's true or not, it sounds silly. So you can ignore that, right? And continue to fight and build your record. There is not going to be the urgency on Kid Austin to make sure that he steps up and fights one of these guys. However, the position that Shakur finds himself in is he's finally shown against a legit opponent who is very tough, who presents a challenging style, that he is of that merit and value as a fighter. Shakur, I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the criticism before all this was that he's not fought anyone, and he's continued to not fight anybody, and he's going to continue to enjoy a top-ranked diet for as long as they'll let him. You are now no longer in a position where you can just skate by and fight, the Unos of the world or the Novas of the world. You're going to have to be very, very specific and meticulous in how you matchmake him going forward, because people, I don't think, will stand for anything from Shakur that is less challenging than Zepeda. And it doesn't get a whole lot more challenging than Zepeda. There are maybe 5 to 10 guys that could be considered, more challenging to Zepeda than for a Shakur. So if you ask, like, oh, who you want to be, I would rather be the guy without the pressure, the young kid without the pressure that has the ability to keep growing for the next couple years into a Shakur fight, right? Or any other one of those guys. He's also a big kid. I can see him moving up fast. Whereas Shakur is in a position where he's got to fight tougher and tougher fights. He can't go back. There's no going back now. He's already hit the forward button. It's kind of like after Crawford with Spence. I mean, not at that level, but it's like, bro, now I got to have the big fights. Now I got to have Canelo. Now I got to have you know what I mean? And so this is where Shakur's at, and he can't take that step back, and he's going to be so much more scrutinized for his matchmaking moving forward.
If he can't get the Tank fight, which is the biggest fight at lightweight, is the next big fight for him against a 140-pound champion like Teofimo. Is that it?
No, not exactly. Not 10 guys better in the division, in a single division. But I'm saying, like, right now we have to look at what Tank's done to the division. I know a lot of us guys, like older guys like me, we think of boxing and its rankings and the way it should work in a specific way. But we have to look at the context of the era we're in. Tank has completely fucked up the divisional thing, right? Because Tank is the money fight. Well, where does Tank fight? Is it 130 or is it 135 or is it 140?
You mean,
or but what about that tournament fight with 147? So now that we are in a position where the big fight overwhelms weight class superiority and dominance, then we have to consider that Shakur could be in a fight with anybody from 130 to 147 if the money is right. I guarantee you he'd take a Pacquiao fight in a heartbeat if that was given to him at a catch weight or anything. But we can't consider Shakur at this point anymore just a 135 pounder, because all the best fights that we always envisioned him with have now began to, expand into the other divisions. And if there is any division in boxing that has proved that catch weights can be made, it is the welterweight divisions. After 140, for the past decade and a half, maybe even longer, we saw guys like Pacquiao, Mayweather, De La Hoya, on and on and on, over and over. We saw cash cows manipulate the weight class between 140 and 147. And here's a reminder for all those old heads. Think about a guy like Gotti. All right. Think about a guy like Gotti, who was a little too small for 147, a little too big and grown out of 140. That jump from 40 to 47 has always been one of the most important and critical jumps in boxing.
Agreed.
And it has truly been a situation where there are guys that would have been probably thought as legacy fighters if there was a 143 division. You know, it is a giant jump, and guys like Gotti have shown that hole in boxing. So for fighters like Tank or Floyd or Pacquiao to exploit that big gap, I never really, poo-pooed at them too much, because they were already small guys outside of the weight class, jumping up so high. And then it just so happened that the divisions that they were going to jump from to end up in the money division of 147 wasn't a 2 or 3 or 4 pound jump like the rest of the weight classes he had been, used to. This was a full figure jump with guys that could have been fighting at 154 at the time when you really look at it. So I don't know. There's a lot going on there.
Isn't it ironic that Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney both made pit stops at 143? But meanwhile, Raleigh.
Good call, damn.
Meanwhile, Raleigh just jumped right into welterweight.
Oh, stop, bro! You see through all of that shit. Hell yeah, you're the champ right there.
Hey, in the chat, 92 Aku Caballero. Good to see you. It's been a minute, but you mentioned a couple of Mexican fighters that Shakur smoked. Joet Gonzalez is the guy I'm thinking about. Joet Gonzalez is the fighter that Shakur I saw beat for his first title ever, featherweight title. And Joet Gonzalez is fighting Brandon Figueroa this Saturday on the undercard.
Oh, I forgot about that fight. Hell yeah. Well, I didn't forget
Texas,
about that.
Brandon Figueroa, Texas fighter.
Hell
right?
yeah. Hell yeah, bro. I met Brandon when he was like 13 or 14. I used to be kind of close to the Figueroas, not close, but like from a journalistic standpoint, because they're from Westlaco and I lived in Corpus, so it wasn't a super far drive to go see them. And they were always come to the Corpus shows or San Antonio or the Valley, so I got to see them a lot. But yeah, what you had said earlier too, you had wanted to talk about which main event?
Oh, I guess that was the other co-main event.
Oh, the other co-main. Yeah.
Remember, they were billed as co-main events.
No, that was the other thing that was so messed up.
Two main events.
I don't know what this was. Like, they thought about this really weird. They were trying to like suffice everybody. But I think part of it was, Turkey trying to position Shiraz in a way that really benefited him from this performance, right? And I think that's the problem a lot of people have, is that the performance is being over magnified because of Turkey. Like, I don't think people are that mad at Shiraz winning. They're just mad that Turkey's like, oh, the Canelo sweepstakes is over. We have the next challenger. Like, chill, bro. But yeah, anyway, listen, man, I want to thank you. That's the topics for tonight. Shoeshine, you're the champ, bro.
Yeah,
coming through, kicking it with me. Hell yeah. And if you want me to come through anytime this week, let me know. I got you.
But we still got to do a big fight preview. I think potentially if you're available Thursday in the evening, if you want to come with me and Drew, we'll do. And I thank you, everybody in the chat. Make sure you subscribe. If you guys don't know, the channel name for Mario has changed. It's Infighting FX on YouTube, right?
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
I'm going to sign off now and make sure that I turn off on my YouTube studio. Thanks, everybody. Again, make sure you hit that like and subscribe to Mario. Mario, I'll talk to you soon.
Champ, appreciate you, big dog. Listen, that's going to do it for us today. We're going to come back tomorrow. We'll have more conversations about what is going on with WWE right now and everything that has happened over the last 72 hours, I guess. But I want to thank everybody in the chat. I want to thank everybody who subscribed. Man, I really appreciate it on the YouTube help, for real. Shout out to Abe Gonzalez. Saw him in the chat. He said he had a really good comment. He said, hey, Goldberg, cry me a river. He's washed and got what he should have. All this crying earlier was silly by him. It was silly. Now, here's the thing, right? They did cut off his promo. If you didn't get to see Goldberg's match live, at the very end, he lost, right? But everybody came out and started to give him dap, right? DDP was out there. Cat Williams was out there. Not the comedian Cat Williams. Ernest the Cat Williams from WCW. And the security guard that used to always bring him out, that guy with the white hair and the white goatee, he was out there. I forget his name. I forget his name, but yeah, so it was like the whole thing, was done for him in the way that you would expect. But I don't know, bitching about chops, and I don't know. He's lucky to have gotten what he's gotten. Let's just put it that way. How about that? Real quick, I do want to mention for everybody that was live with us this past weekend, I am going live on TikTok now because YouTube was in a position where I didn't have the 50 subscribers. So my channel was still active and I was able to go through it, but I could only do it through third party. So until I got the 50 subscribers on my channel, I can't go live. And I mean, just through the third party like I am right now. So it's like basically anybody who's already subscribed can watch it, but anybody who isn't subscribed wouldn't even know that it's on unless they just happen to come through my channel. But appreciate everybody. Nerd said, we all know Turkey plays favorites. Next, he will post Sarah's baby pick. Yeah, I definitely think he does play favorites. On top of that, you know what, bro? And man, I wanted to ask you, Shine, this. Is it just me? Well, I know it's not just me because a lot of y'all been talking shit about it too. Turkey's tweets and social media posts are kind of sus. Like, I don't mean that in a weird way, like weirdo way, but I just mean like they're not really funny. And they also like don't come across the way I think he thinks they are, right? Like he keeps putting up the like writer versus writer posts, like he did Dan Rayful versus Coppinger at Saudi. Then he did one this past week, and it was like Mike Coppinger versus Ariel Hawani at right a season. Like, okay, or why are you mentioning this? Like, what? Like I don't know. It's weird. It's weird when you think about who he kind of learned the promotional game from. I guess it isn't that weird. But anyway, we will be back tomorrow. Probably do a morning live stream workout. For those that have been tapped into that, I appreciate it. Well, really, it's hard because it's been on TikTok. But yeah, if you could please go to @InfightingFX on TikTok and YouTube and subscribe to both, that would be hugely helpful. I have some content on TikTok. I've been posting every week. Trying to get to a daily schedule with the posts. But YouTube is the big one, man. I sucks that I've had to restart, but it is what it is. But I appreciate everybody coming through, tapping in. The link will be open tomorrow, so y'all could come jump in. Maybe we'll do a little gaming on Twitch too. But until then, peace.